Today, I'm gonna walk you through 4 super simple steps to plan out your calendar year for your homeschool so that you know when your start and stop dates are gonna be, when your vacation times are gonna be scheduled, and all of the things in between. I'm also gonna share some important things for you to keep in mind when you're planning out your school year, so make sure you stay around to the end for that. I'm Erin, I'm a homeschooling mom to 4 kids, and we are just about to start our 9th year of homeschooling. This video is gonna be the first video in my 3-part series about homeschool planning. This week, we're going to talk about scheduling your homeschool year, and my next video is going to be figuring out what to fit in your homeschool week, like your weekly schedule. And then the 3rd video in this series is going to be how to narrow that down into a daily homeschool routine that's going to fit for your family. So make sure you subscribe if you're interested in more videos about planning. The first thing that you need to do when you're planning out your calendar year is to figure out what schedule you want to follow. Last week, I walked you through 7 different calendar options that you can use. So make sure you check out that video if you hadn't yet. Okay, so now you have figured out which schedule you want to follow, and it's time to plot that out on your calendar so you can figure out your start day and your stop day, when all your breaks are, and all of that kind of thing. To figure out your plan, I have found it super easy to have a printed out academic calendar in front of me so I can go through and highlight the days that we are going to have breaks and the days that we're going to do school. A lot of planners will have this already printed in the planner, so that is an option if you have a planner already established. If you don't have one in your planner, this particular one is a free download that I have available on my website. There's a link to that in the description below. So to get all this planned out, you need your calendar and 2 highlighters. The first thing that you're going to do is go in and plan your breaks. So choose one of your highlighter colors and start out by marking out days that you know for sure that you want to take off for your family. For me, I generally start out by marking off the time that I want to take off for Christmas and around any other holidays like Thanksgiving, or if our family is going to take off birthdays, which we often do, or if there's any vacation time that you already know that you're going to be away that you need to take off. All of those kind of things. Block all of that vacation time off. I really like these friction erasable markers for doing something like this. In case I make an error, then I can easily erase what I did and then put it back in the right place. Going back to the schedule that you chose, if you're following one of the plans where you're doing school a certain number of weeks and then taking a week off or something like that, generally I will start from our Christmas break off and then kind of count backwards until I get that number of weeks that we would do, and then I kind of work my way backwards until I want to start my school year, which is normally somewhere in the end of August or beginning of September, depending on where some of those vacation times are going to fall. And then I will also work my way forward from Christmas break and count out the 6 weeks that we will do school, and then mark off the week off that we're going to take on breaks. Once you have your breaks established, now you need to go in and fill in your school days. And those are going to just be every single day in between all of your breaks. Once you have those days filled in, count them up and see how many days you have filled in so far. If you are not at 180 school days yet, then go ahead and just add a little bit more, either at the beginning or at the tail end of your calendar until you reach your 180 school days. So once you have your breaks and your school days filled in, this will help you to do the 4th step, which is to establish your start day and your end day. And those will be clearly marked already for you on your calendar, but it's nice to just have them highlighted extra special so they stand out on your calendar and you can plan accordingly. There are a couple of things to keep in mind too as you're planning out your school year. Don't feel like every single day that you have marked on here for school has to be every single subject and fitting all of the things in. It is beneficial for a lot of families to kind of start slow with just a couple of subjects and starting out with half days maybe at the beginning of the school year to ease back into the year, and then really hit it hard once you kind of start getting that routine and that flow figured out for your family in what's going to work in a normal day. In the school district that we live in, the public schools have a half day once a week. And so that can be something that you can plan into your schedule too, as well as there's a lot of times that something might just come up and you need to take a half day, or you might need to even take a sick day. Even the public schools allow for sick days. Generally, they will say that your kids should be in school. If they were to be attending public school, kids should be attending at least 95% of the time, which makes that 171 days. So doing the math, that gives you 9 days that would technically be allowable as sick days. So don't feel like if you have this calendar set in place and then one of your kids ends up sick or something like that and taking some time off, don't feel like you have to tack those days on the end of the school year and keep pushing your school year out. It is okay and it is allowable to take those sick days for your family as well. Or if there's days where you have orthodontist appointments or, things like that, that can be a day that you take off as a sick day. If your state requires you to do assessment testing like ours does, those days can count as school days because our kids are actively doing something. So generally, I will plug those in the last week that we're doing school. It normally takes us 2 or 3 days. We administer those at home, and that is kind of like our hurrah at the end of the year. We finish up our testing and we know that our school year is then over for summer break. And so those can be days that you can plan into your calendar as school days, even though you might not necessarily be doing all of your curriculum on those days. Another thing to think about is how you can kind of do seasonal schooling. There are a couple different ways that this can work. You can do things within the actual physical seasons of the year. There might be times where you are just indoors a lot more, and because the weather requires that you can really hit school hard, whereas there's other times where you might be working in a garden or doing other things where you might need to have the workload a little bit less, and those days can all be counted as school days. It is perfectly fine to let natural learning take place, to involve your kids in those chores and different things like that where they are learning life skills. All of that stuff can still count as school days, as well as you might have like some big thing happen in your family, like having a new baby or moving or things like that, where you don't need to feel so pressured to do every single subject every single day when you are going through a really difficult season. It is okay to lighten the load a little bit on those days and really just focus on the core subjects and get your school days in that way. I've got a whole video that I did a year or 2 ago about how to do school and things to think about. If you're going through a situation like that, I will link that in the description below, as well as right up here for you if you want to check that out later. One more thing to think about is that learning truly happens all of the time. Our kids are born naturally curious and inquisitive. They want to know about the world around them. They have questions and they need to learn how to find the answers and read books and experiment and explore and do all of the things. And that can count as school too. It is okay to take a break sometimes if you just need a mental break and need to take some time to yourself. Let your kids run with it. Unschooling can count as some of your days. You don't have to be a full-blown unschooler the entire year, but it is perfectly normal and okay to take a period of time during the school year to allow your kids that freedom to learn naturally on their own and still count those as school days. I know I have done that in the past, and that is truly one of the amazing freedoms that we have as homeschoolers, is that not every single day has to look the same. We can make our schedule and our homeschool fit what works best for our family, and you can do that too. You are welcome to be free and be flexible with your calendar. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, please hit that thumbs up button below. If you enjoy homeschool planning videos, make sure you check out this video here, and I will see you next time. Bye.